Welcome to our daily reflection for this Wednesday, June 12th. And today the question is, who do you follow? And we have a great connection in these readings. The first reading is from the book of Kings, chapter 18, 1 Kings. And it's about Elijah, and he stands before Israel. And Israel in the north, the 10 tribes, have been kind of faithful to Yahweh, but also unfaithful in going after other gods. And so it's kind of a both and. They want the world and they want their own religion. And, Elijah confronts them. And he says, how long will you straddle the issue, right? If Yahweh is God, then follow him, right? If Baal is, then follow him. But don't try to follow both. That split loyalty doesn't make sense. And so you got to choose sides. And this is really what the prophet says here on behalf of God, is God's question always. And always the temptation for God's people is to want to follow God and also at the same time follow the world and other gods. And you can't do both, right? You can't serve two masters, as Jesus will say in the Sermon on the Mount. And so that question then plays out in the Psalm. We get Psalm 16, which talks about David saying that those who follow other gods multiply their sorrows, right? Whereas, the Lord alone is going to be David's God. And that's where he's going to put his portion and his hope. And so if you follow other gods, you will multiply your sorrows and your disappointments. And that's a great line. That's so true. And then we get Jesus' Sermon on the Mount in Matthew chapter 5, which is the Magna Carta for being a Christian disciple of Jesus. And he, says, don't think that I've come to abolish the law and the prophets. I've come to fulfill them. And then he goes on saying, therefore anyone who breaks one of these commandments or teaches others to do so will be least in the kingdom. And so what Jesus is saying is, Jesus is bringing about a bit of a revolution. The ceremonial laws of kosher laws, the way they observe the Sabbath, where no healings during Shabbat, during Sabbath, animal sacrifice and things like that. Jesus is going to bring about change. He's being disruptive, but he also wants to be clear. When it comes to the 10 Commandments and the moral law and the example and moral exhortation of the prophets, that stands. That can't be changed. And the temptation for us is, if we want to release ourselves from the moral law, that's when we want to follow. And this is where the gods aren't pagan gods like Baal that we're tempted by, but the gods are ourself. We might make an idol of ourself. We put ourself above God's law, and that's making ourselves God. Or our passions. We want to satisfy our lusts and our passions and our greed and our desires. And these base passions then become our idols and our gods. And so today we're not tempted to go after, for the most part, other pagan gods versus Yahweh, or in addition to Yahweh. Instead, we make gods of even lesser things, in a sense, of our own base passions. And so today the question is, who do you follow? Do you follow and submit to Christ and his way and his law, or do you make yourself above God's way? That's the temptation today, is to put self above God. And so we want to reflect on if we multiply our gods by different passions, we will multiply, as David says in Psalm 16, our sorrows. We will be we will sow that kind of idolatry, will reap deep unhappiness and sorrow. And so let's make our love pure, and that is and subject to God, so that God is our God. He is our one true God, and our heart will have one key focus, and that will change everything for us and bring us to true, authentic happiness, which is what Psalm 16 goes on to sing about, that God is my lot. In other words, I put my hope and my trust and my happiness in God and God alone. And then we find no sorrow, but only happiness and consolation in God. May the Lord bless and keep you. St. Paul says that faith comes from hearing. And we know that means hearing the Word of God, the good news, the gospel. And that is the heart of our mission here at the Augustine Institute. And what we want is to partner with you so that more and more people can come to hear the good news and believe in Jesus Christ. That is our goal here at the Augustine Institute. And if you want to partner with us, you can join us by going to our website at augustininstitute.org/give. That is augustininstitute.org/give. Become a mission partner with us, and let's help others hear the good news and believe. May the Lord bless and keep you.